The Yankees spring training camp is in full swing, so let's bring in my guy Ryan Garcia, the Fireside Yankees podcast, to get his thoughts on how I guess the Tampa Bombers look right now because they haven't gotten to the Bronx yet. Ryan, what's going on, my man?
Doing great, man. Really happy to have baseball back. It's, in my opinion, the best time of year.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Football season, but we'll agree to disagree on this one. But let's get into baseball spring training. What are some of your early impressions on the reports coming out of spring training?
Yeah, look, obviously the Yankees are still really early into this process. We'll learn more about how certain guys are at. But I'm really just excited to have the Yankees back. And look, the stand injury is a little bit concerning. They have a couple of injuries in the bullpen. But until I see guys placed on the IL, until we hear about like muscle tears or whatever, I'm going to take the fact that the Yankees are day to day with some guys or week to week over longer form injuries.
All right, Jason Dominguez is a guy that's been shining, and then we saw reports that Cody Bellinger's bat has been alive at the start of camp. Aaron Judge had told reporters in the media that he prefers to bat third. So if you're Aaron Boone, how are you going to reshape the top of the lineup now that Juan Soto is gone?
So I actually like having Aaron Judge second, but if the Yankees are going to hit him third, Cody Bellinger hitting second makes sense. He's someone who puts the ball in play a lot, but has a kind of swing that can result in a lot of home runs at Yankee Stadium. I'd be aggressive here. I'd put Jason Dominguez at the top of the lineup. I'd have Jazz Chisholm batting behind Judge, and then I'd hit Stanton fifth to kind of have that lefty-righty thing going on that I know Boone likes in the middle of the lineup. Wells hitting sixth is a nice thing to have because he's an emerging young hitter. And then you can go Goldschmidt, Volpe, and then Cabrera at third base and have a pretty solid bottom of the order and hope the young guys can step up.
Yeah, that outfield batting 1, 2, 3, that'd be pretty cool to watch, especially with all the pressure on Aaron Judge. Like how is he going to have this season without Juan Soto? You mentioned Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe. What are your expectations for these two guys? Obviously, Anthony Volpe's in year 3, and Austin Wells is coming off of a third place AL Rookie of the Year vote. Pressure on these guys? What type of expectations does Ryan Garcia have on these two?
Now, in the case of Austin Wells, my expectations are pretty sky high. Last year, according to Fangraphs, he was a top 5 catcher in wins above replacement, and he made some adjustments mid-season to use a toe tap instead of a leg kick, and as a result, his pull rate went up from around 34% to 44%, and he hit 11 home runs in 70 games with a 338 on base percentage and a 441 slugging percentage. So doing more damage on contact, getting on base more often, just looking more comfortable at the plate. And then behind the plate, he is one of the best defensive catchers in baseball. He graded out top 5 in framing and fielding run value among all catchers last year. So this is someone who's going to go out and contend for a gold glove, but could also hit upwards of 20 home runs while being a catcher. And in case of Anthony Volpe, just got to get a little more consistent with getting on base. He is a phenomenal defensive player. He's a phenomenal base runner. He put up nearly 4 wins above replacement last season. Can he just get that OPS and that OBP a little bit higher? Because if he can, he's a dynamic shortstop.
Yeah, the numbers are in Austin Wells' favor, so I'm really anxious to see how he progresses going into this year. In last year's training camp, we saw Luis Hill really make a name for himself, and he earned a spot in the pitching rotation. Who could be this year's Hill? Like, who's that hidden gem that's in the bullpen or maybe even can slide into the rotation?
That's a great question. Now, in the bullpen, I really do believe in Clayton Beeter to be that up-and-coming reliever and be a stud. He's got a really good fastball, a really good slider. Matt Blake has raved about him constantly. But if we're talking about starters, I think Will Warren is a lot better than people give him credit for. I know he had an ERA over 10 in his major league debut last year, but his stuff is a lot better than people think. His sinker, his four-seamer, his cutter, his slider, his changeup. Being a starter with 5 different pitches who can sit in the 93 to 94 mile per hour range with as much movement as he has, I think there are a lot of comparisons made to Michael King, and I think they're fair here. Will Warren has a chance to be a real nice piece for this team as a starter or reliever in 2025.
All right, all eyes are on Will Warren. You know how Juan Soto made the jump from the Bronx to Queens. Do you think that the Yankees go after former Met free agent Jose Iglesias? Do they bring OMG to the Bronx?
Well, it comes down obviously to price. The Yankees have been very frugal over the fourth threshold, but I think he makes sense for the roster. He's a really good defensive infielder, especially at third base. He hits left-handed pitching well. He has an average of 300 in his career against lefties with a 354 on base percentage. And in the case of Oswaldo Cabrera, he's very good against right-handed pitchers. So you might have a situation where Cabrera can play third base against right-handed pitching and Jose Iglesias against left-handed pitching. They're going to get good defense, good enough offense at the bottom of the bottom of the order. And at the deadline, if the Yankees need to upgrade, they can still go out and get an upgrade and move either of those two guys to the bench.
We talked about a lot of individual players. Now let's talk about the team collectively or as a whole. Yes, no, and why type question. Do you think the Yankees have what it takes to win the AL East and the ALCS again without Juan Soto?
I think they do. And the reason I think they do is because I think they have addressed enough parts of their roster and that the American League hasn't gotten better enough for me to sit here and think that the Yankees are a tier below anybody in the AL. I still think they're the best team in the American League. I still think they're the best team in the American League East. And that pitching staff is just lethal. Even if the offense takes a step back, it should be better on the bases, better defensively, but that pitching staff can anchor a lot for them. They go 1 through 5 in the rotation. They go 8 men deep in the bullpen. Tons of guys who throw hard, who can miss a ton of bats. And again, this is still a good team. A lot of projection systems believe in the Yankees to win the American League. And until I see something that indicates that they're not good, I'm going to continue believing in this team, having faith in this roster and operation.
All right, all eyes are on the Yankees this upcoming season. Can't wait for opening day. Ryan Garcia, thanks for hopping on with us, my man.